all-time favorite pizza topping in the US? Without a doubt, pepperoni. But behind those bold red slices with a hint of spice and a rich, meaty flavor lies a fascinating story of cultural fusion between Italy and America. It's not quite traditional salami, nor is it your typical spicy European sausage. Pepperoni is a uniquely American creation, a delicious hybrid born on US soil that quickly became an icon of modern pizza. So, how exactly is this sausage made? And what makes it so wildly popular? Let's find out. When it comes to food preservation, meat has always been one of the hardest to keep fresh. That's exactly why pepperoni became so popular among workers and coal miners, especially within Italian immigrant communities in the US, who brought their traditional culinary roots with them. As a dry-cured, fermented, and smoked sausage, pepperoni could last for long periods at room temperature without the need for refrigeration. A huge advantage for those working deep underground, far from any kind of cold storage. Packed with calories, fat, and protein, it provided a powerful energy boost for laborers doing physically demanding jobs. Plus, it was easy to carry, quick to eat, and required no elaborate prep. It could be eaten straight or stuffed into a sandwich. Over time, this sausage, an Americanized spin on salami and classic Italian sausages, carved out a place of its own. Pepperoni is the perfect blend of pork and beef. It's typically made from pork shoulder and loin, prized for their marbled fat that brings out a rich, savory flavor, combined with beef chuck to enhance the meaty taste and add firmness. The usual ratio? About 80% pork to 20% beef. The production process starts with sourcing top-quality meat. Processing plants often sign long-term contracts with dedicated pig and cattle farms. These farms are usually located in vast agricultural regions, where livestock are raised under strict quality control systems to ensure the best raw materials. Pigs are fed a grain-rich diet to develop a soft, flavorful fat, while cattle are often finished on grass or corn to produce firm, low-sinew beef that meets sausage-making standards. From these farms, the meat is transported to the factory using a closed-loop refrigeration system, keeping everything fresh and fully traceable from farm to facility. Once the meat arrives at the plant, the quality control process kicks off immediately, starting with color. For products like pepperoni, sausages, or salami, color plays a critical role in shaping the consumer's perception. Technicians use an industry-standard color chart to compare against freshly cut sections of meat, making sure each piece meets the factory's specifications. During butchering, every cut is sorted according to a specific set of standards, with a detailed manual guiding the process to ensure consistency. This allows the plant to assign the right cuts to the right products. Meat destined for pepperoni needs to strike the perfect balance between lean and fat. Too much fat? The final product becomes greasy and overwhelming. Too little? It loses flavor and richness. That's why skilled workers step in to trim away excess fat, sinew, and connective tissue from both pork and beef cuts. These unwanted elements can affect the texture, making it chewy and unpleasant. Alongside the meat prep, another key process is already underway: seasoning. The spices used in pepperoni are carefully selected to create its signature flavor: salty, mildly spicy, aromatic, and with a subtle smoky note. The blend typically includes Hungarian paprika, chili flakes, garlic, salt, black pepper, and a touch of sugar to balance the taste. One essential ingredient is the starter culture, a beneficial bacteria that kickstarts fermentation and boosts the effectiveness of nitrites. This helps preserve the sausage's vibrant red color, preventing it from turning gray or brown over time. Fermentation not only helps extend shelf life, but also creates that distinct, tangy, smoky aroma people love in dry sausages. Once all the ingredients are measured out, they're loaded into massive mixing vats, where they're thoroughly blended with the meat, setting the stage for the next phase of production. The raw meat cuts are carefully selected to achieve the ideal fat-to-lean ratio, typically 80% pork and 20% beef. Before grinding, the meat is lightly frozen and then partially thawed to reach just the right firmness. Not too soft, not too hard, making it easier to pass through industrial grinders without becoming mushy. The semi-frozen meat mixture is fed into a large-scale meat grinder. Inside, high-speed rotating blades finely chop and blend the meat into a uniform mixture with particle sizes around 3 millimeters. Getting the grind just right is critical. If it's too fine, the texture becomes overly compact, preventing moisture and air from escaping during fermentation, which can lead to uneven curing, spoilage, or overly sour flavors. Once ground, the meat mixture travels along a conveyor belt while a pre-mixed blend of spices is automatically sprinkled evenly across it. This ensures the seasoning is well distributed throughout the entire batch. Finally, everything is transferred into a large mixing vat where it's blended thoroughly for about 5 minutes to create a perfectly uniform mix. The goal is to use as little salt and spice as necessary, allowing the natural flavor of the pork to take center stage. Next, the meat mixture is transferred to a stuffing machine, where it's fed into a preloaded casing tube. The casing is made from edible beef collagen, a common choice in industrial sausage production for its strength and uniformity. The meat is pressed through a large nozzle and tightly packed into the collagen casing, forming firm, uniform pepperoni sticks. Each stick is then tied off at both ends to hold its shape. Depending on the order, the factory can produce pepperoni in various shapes and sizes, but the most common is the type used as a pizza topping, typically measuring between 1.5 and 1.75 inches in diameter. Once formed, the sausage sticks are hung on racks and moved into a fermentation room, where they're aged for 1 to 2 days under tightly controlled conditions, around 90 degrees Fahrenheit with 80% humidity. This environment activates lactobacillus bacteria, which consume the dextrose in the spice blend, producing the mildly tangy flavor that defines pepperoni while also suppressing the growth of harmful bacteria. Once fermentation is complete, the pepperoni sticks are moved into a drying chamber where the temperature is lowered to around 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Here, the sausages are slowly dried for anywhere from 30 to 55 days, depending on their size. During this process, they lose about 40% of their original weight. The drying and curing phase follows a key principle. Moisture from the inner core must gradually migrate outward, where it's then absorbed by the surrounding air. If moisture is pulled too quickly from the surface, the casing will dry out and harden while the interior remains damp. This can result in a product that's dry on the outside but soft and mushy inside, leading to hollow pockets, unpleasant odors, and even serious food safety issues like the growth of salmonella. As the internal temperature of the sausage slowly rises, the starter culture added earlier begins consuming the natural sugars in the meat, producing lactic acid as a byproduct. This acid lowers the pH of the mixture, inhibiting the growth of harmful bacteria and making the drying process safer and more effective. During drying, as moisture escapes through the casing, a natural white mold known as Penicillium nalgeovens begins to form on the surface. This mold can grow naturally within the aging chamber or be sprayed on intentionally to ensure an even coating. Different regions around the world harbor their own unique strains of Penicillium, each contributing distinct flavors to the final product. This mold isn't just for show, it's an essential part of the traditional dry curing process. It imparts a signature aroma and acts as a protective barrier against unwanted mold species. Once fully cured, pepperoni can be stored for long periods without spoiling. However, the longer it's kept, the drier and firmer it becomes, as residual moisture continues to evaporate over time. As the second stage curing process nears completion, the pepperoni sticks are cleaned to remove the layer of white mold from the surface, ensuring a smooth, uniform, and clean appearance. After that, they're held for one final day in a drying chamber to stabilize both quality and moisture levels before moving on to packaging and commercial distribution. Next, the outer collagen casing needs to be removed. The pepperoni sticks are placed into a specialized machine equipped with tiny needles that inject air beneath the casing, gently inflating it. This process helps loosen the casing from the sausage, making it easier to peel off cleanly and efficiently, without tearing or leaving any residue behind. Once the casing is puffed up, workers carefully peel it away by hand and place the bare pepperoni sticks into a high-speed slicing machine. Within seconds, The pepperoni is cut into perfectly uniform slices, each about 2 millimeters thick. Immediately after slicing, the pepperoni rounds are sent down a conveyor belt to the packaging area, where they are vacuum sealed to lock in freshness and flavor before heading to market. It's easy to see why the factory is always buzzing with activity. And for good reason. They produce and sell over 6 million pounds of pepperoni every year. Many viewers of the channel often ask, are the production lines in the factory cleaned regularly? And the answer is, absolutely. To ensure food safety, the entire production line is thoroughly cleaned every week using specialized cleaning solutions. Every part that comes into contact with ingredients is carefully washed and disinfected to remove any residue or lingering bacteria. In fact, these machines get scrubbed down more thoroughly than a pickup truck getting ready for a state fair. From fresh, quality cuts of meat to those crispy, spicy slices sizzling on top of a pizza, pepperoni isn't just an ingredient. It's a full-flavored journey deeply woven into the fabric of modern American culture. Now you know, behind every slice of pepperoni lies a meticulous and fascinating process. So, how do you like your pepperoni? On pizza, in a sandwich, or straight out of the pack as a guilty pleasure? Let us know in the comments below.